Hello Super Friends and welcome to DC TV Talk, and in today's episode we're going to be breaking down and reviewing Arrow, Season 7, Episode 5, otherwise entitled The Demon. And before you proceed with this review, make sure you've watched this episode because it's going to be filled with spoilers. So to kickstart this episode, I'm just going to get this sort of storyline out of the way first. There was a brief storyline going on where we see Curtis and Diggle working for Argus, and this is the episode that we've seen kind of teased in the synopsis where Curtis goes undercover for Argus. This storyline for me was just a bit meh. Like, it was just like there was nothing too special about it. It was just kind of like, you know, we needed like a third kind of storyline, so this is what we got. It was alright. Like, I think Echo Kellum did a really good job in this episode, though. Like, I think all of his stuff as Curtis was good. And, you know, I like the fact that he was really scared to go out in the field. Like, you know, he stated, you know, the reason why, you know, I stopped going out in the field, you know, all of that stopped the day Oliver went to prison. And I thought that was a really good way, and it gave him, you know, a good reasoning to feel that way. You know, he said, you know, this vigilante life, it's cost me a lot. It cost me my life, it cost me my husband. You know, Curtis has lost a lot, really, when you think about it, when being Mr. Terrific. So it made a lot of sense, actually, to do that. And this also led to a really nice scene between him and Diggle. But overall, this storyline, in comparison to everything else going on in the episode, just wasn't as interesting or as engaging as what else was going on. So let's talk about the prison stuff. I mean, the prison stuff is what mostly makes up this episode. This episode is very prison heavy, and I don't have a single issue with that. So Oliver is on level 2, and we actually get a good look at level 2 in this episode because, you know, last episode, although Oliver was on level 2, he was just stuck in one cell. We actually get to see level 2 here. We actually get to see the set design for it. And what's apparent to notice is that there actually are female prisoners on level 2 as well. So while we're not quite sure what the situation is with male and female on level 1, on level 2, they are all mixed in together, and that becomes relevant later on. But yeah, Oliver is on level 2, and he comes across this thing where one of the prisoners who attacked him when he was in the shower actually gets sent into this like room in the back of level 2, and then a few minutes later he comes out and he's dead. So basically Oliver realizes, well, these guards are doing something. These experiments that are going on down here in level 2, they're killing people. So there's something going on here, and he has to kind of figure it out. It's pretty rough. Oliver's not having a good time in level 2. It's pretty rough down there, and I think they did a good job of establishing that. What I liked in this episode is that you had quite a lot of stuff going on down in level 2 that was establishing how horrible it was. And, you know, we haven't seen Stanley for a couple episodes, and I like the fact that we actually get a conversation between Stanley and Felicity, because if Oliver's in level 2, he can't talk to Felicity because his visiting rights have been, you know, debunked. So when he actually had booked visiting rights and Felicity turns up to the prison, Oliver isn't there, but Stanley is there, and I like the fact that Stanley kind of calls her over and fills her in, says, look, he's on level 2, he's had to, you know, he's found out some things, he's doing what he can, and he's had to go down and, you know, had to go into level 2 to find the demon. And, you know, he basically explains it all, and I thought it was really nice to actually have Felicity and Stanley have a scene together. I like that, and it wasn't as exposition heavy as it could have been if they would have done it another way. I think this was a smart way of doing it. And this then leads into kind of Felicity's storyline for this episode, which is where she's working with Black Siren again, and also with Dinah to basically go through the SCPD records and Slabside records to look for evidence of this level 2. And what's interesting is that level 2 is not actually exist, like, it doesn't exist in terms of the records, so they have to realize, well, you know, whatever's going on in level 2 has to be pretty shady because Slabside are not keeping records of it. This then leads to a revelation where we see that these experiments that are being done that are killing people by Dr. Parker, who we met last episode, are actually illegal and are off the books. And this then leads into an awesome little moment that I'll get onto later. But seeing these three characters work together, I really like. I'm actually really loving this growing dynamic between Felicity and Black Siren. I think it's really fun, because these two characters you wouldn't expect to kind of be allies, be friends necessarily. You wouldn't expect them to get on, but they actually are becoming kind of close allies, and I like that. And this even pays off at the end of the episode when obviously Laurel asks Felicity if she wants to come out for dinner with her. So I thought that was really cool, and I'm completely here for this. Like, I'm completely down for this kind of friendship between Felicity and this version of Laurel. I think that's really fun, especially because they're pretty polar opposite when it comes to character types. So again, I'm all down for this, and Dinah is beginning to sink into her role as the police captain a bit more, and I'm liking her a bit more in this episode than I have done previously. So all of this stuff I think worked really well. Now, of course, the main part about this episode is the demon. We finally get it revealed as to who the demon is, and I'm very proud because one of my predictions was correct. The demon is Talia al Ghul. So this was insane. So Oliver's just in his cell in level 2. Someone breaks in, he thrusts her to the ground, and it's Talia. So Talia survived the Lian Yu explosion. You can see she has a bunch of bruises and burns on her face. And she says that she actually is in ties with Ricardo Diaz due to the fact that the only reason she survived everything from Lian Yu is due to his drugs. Obviously, we know Ricardo Diaz is huge in the drug ring in Star City. So she is basically in bed with Diaz in a sense and is saying, you know, she's been the one orchestrating all this stuff on Oliver. But I really love all of this because she basically discusses to Oliver, look, I know a way out. We can break out of this thing. If you help me, we can get out together. And this was really awesome. I love seeing all this. I love seeing Oliver and Talia working together again. I thought Talia was a great addition in Season 5. I really enjoyed her role. I think her role in the flashbacks was really cool. She was like one of Oliver's final mentors. And also seeing her come back into the main storyline, helping Adrian Chase. We even get Adrian Chase name dropped in this episode, which is great. It was really interesting because I think Talia is really fun as a character. And also her playoff with Nyssa was great as well. So seeing her return in this prison was awesome. Like, it was such an awesome surprise. I really loved it. And just seeing Oliver and Talia working together again and having that dynamic was fantastic. Also, Talia does name drop the fact that she was dealing with a foe in Gotham in this episode, which you'd have to think is Batman, so that's pretty exciting. But anyway, I have to discuss an incredible part of this episode, which you get quite a few fight scenes between Oliver and Talia, or at least with them anyway. Like, there's a really cool one where there's like a one-on-one fight, which is being used as a distraction. That was really awesome because Talia is one of the only characters in the Arrowverse who can actually go toe-to-toe with Oliver in hand-to-hand combat. And seeing them two basically just block each other's attacks the entire time was really entertaining. But what cannot go understated in this episode is the fantastic, and I mean fantastic, hallway fight scene we get in this. We always credit Marvel for their hallway fight scenes over on Netflix, but this one is not to be forgotten. This was incredible. We have Oliver and Talia stood against about 15, maybe 20 guards with riot shields, and I love Talia's line where she says, "Do you think they know they're outmatched?" And Oliver says they're about to find out. And you have Oliver and Talia just storm through 15 guys, take them out no problem. It was incredible. This honestly might be one of my favourite action sequences in the history of Arrow. I thought this was so phenomenal, so got my blood pumping really fast. The adrenaline was there, the energy was there. It was brutal, it was fast, it was fun, it was great to watch. And when they walk away, you just see the destruction they've left behind them. It's a great shot. It was really well filmed, it was exciting, it was really fun. I loved it. And just again, this culmination of having Talia and Oliver working together was just brilliant, and I loved Talia in this episode. I think Lexa Doig is fantastic in this role. I loved having her back on the show, and she was great here. So after all that goes down, basically Oliver actually gives Talia a memory stick, which they acquired earlier on in the episode, and basically before they escape, he actually gives it to Talia and says, look, you go, I'm going to stay in prison, I'm going to do this the right way, but you take this and you give this to my wife, you give this to Felicity, because it can help me, blah blah blah, it can expose level 2, and it exposed Slapside. And I thought this was really clever, because Oliver had the absolute finest opportunity to escape prison here, but I like the fact that he didn't. He wants to do this the legit way. He wants to get out because, you know, he makes a good point, on a very obvious point, which is that if he escapes, he becomes a fugitive, and basically his family will be put under threat by the government because they'll be like, well, where is Oliver? So, you know, it was a smart play. Obviously, Talia was going to get out anyway, so give the information to Talia. She'll give it to Felicity, which she does, and I think this was a great way to do it. I would have liked to have seen the actual scene where Talia gave the information to Felicity. You don't actually see it. I think they did it as like an anonymous tip, but it still would have been really cool to see that. But I like the connection there. So once Felicity got that information, she gave it to obviously Dinah and Black Siren, and this then used their higher authorities to expose level 2 and expose Slabside, and this then caused level 2 to be completely exonerated, completely gone, it's not a thing, and Oliver gets moved back up to level 1, into his old cell next to Stanley, and everything is pretty much resumed to the way it was before Oliver got sent down to level 2. So this is going to be like the final ride out in these last sort of couple of episodes while Oliver is in prison. We do get one final badass scene with Talia though. After she escapes, she actually finds Dr. Parker and actually kills him. This was really cool because Talia was in like her old costume that we saw in season 3 to 5, or season 5, sorry. We actually see her in that old costume. She has her bow and she has her sword that she had. Amazing. Love seeing Talia in a suit. And given the fact she's escaped and she's out there in the wild, I'm really excited about what they could do with her in the future, or maybe even later in this season. What will they do with her? Will she come back? Will she work for Diaz? Will she work with the Longbow Hunters? Or will she stay as more of a anti-hero? Or will she become a member of Team Arrow and actually help them out this season? I don't know. I think Talia is a really interesting character, and I'm really excited the fact that they've kind of left the window open for her to come back later this season. And then the sort of final big scene of the episode is we see Diaz and the Silencer in Moscow. And at first I was like, why are they in Moscow? And then it clicked to me very, very quickly that, oh yes, there is a guy in Moscow, somebody who betrayed Diaz, who goes by the name of Anatoly Knyazev. And we see them on the rooftop, and we just see Diaz basically dangling Anatoly off a roof. This is great. Obviously, we know Anatoly is going to be in next episode. We don't know how big of a role Anatoly is going to play this season. Given the fact he had a pretty substantial role in the past sort of couple of seasons, I don't know, how much room there is for Anatoly, but I always love David Nichol. I love him. I think he's incredible. So, if this is his way of returning to the show this season, very, very happy. And obviously now he's in the clutches of Diaz. Diaz obviously wants to go after Anatoly. He betrayed him, so he's going to want to get some revenge on Anatoly, and this is how he's going to get it. Overall, though, I thought this was an absolutely fantastic episode of Arrow. I loved it. Such a good episode. I really, really had a lot of fun with it. Like I say, all the prison stuff in here was great. Having Talia back on the show was something I didn't know I needed until I had it. Kind of like when Brick came back this season. I didn't know I wanted Brick back until I had him. Same with Talia. That fight scene, like I said, I think is one of the best in Arrow's history. Everything going on in this episode was so much fun. Even though the Curtis stuff was a bit light and fluffy in comparison to everything else, it was still good in its own right. It's just in comparison, it didn't quite hold up. But this was a fantastic episode on the whole. I loved it, and another great episode in Season 7. But what did you guys think about this episode? Make sure you let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Were you a fan of it? Did you not like it? Tell me everything you thought about the demon in the comment section down below. And make sure you stay tuned to the channel because I have 2 more videos coming up today. I'll have my review for Legends of Tomorrow Season 4 Episode 4. And I'll also have my breakdown for the Elseworlds teaser that we got today as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. It will help me out a lot. And share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV and get them to join the community. And as always guys, please subscribe for your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow. And with all that said guys, I hope to see you again in my next video.